Welcome back to Extreme Overclocking Guy. I'm about to make myself very unpopular with all-in-one water coolers today. After this you'll probably think twice about posting what you post about your rig or yourself online saying it's water cooled. How do you know it is? It's all-in-one, it's sealed. In some cases it might be made by people who are pretty happy that it's a sealed unit because they won't know what's inside it. I shudder to think on some occasions what has been considered. I'm going to bring the camera over and I'm going to show you why you don't buy an AIO and why you do buy water cooling instead, custom water loop. And if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. Okay, to start with, you might say, well, what gives you any right or kudos to tell us anything about water cooling anyway? Nothing, except that you're letting me, but fair comment, fair question. I have been doing water cooling for a fair while. I'm 50 years old and very sort of hardware minded in the first place. It clicked with me pretty easily, so I've kept delving down a path that excites me. As I'm lucky to be able to do, because not everyone finds a passion that they can dive into. I'm not really into going out and making idle chit-chat with people, to be fair. Now, after your water cooling, like I've got the name of the channel as Extreme Overclocking Guy. Have I done enough of that? No. Did I get poor when I didn't want to? Yes. So the exciting bit for me is, and keep tuned for the videos, because the single stage phase unit is going in to the bloke who made it. And he's going to sort it out for me and get me up and running with that. I won't go into the little things that are wrong, it's not much. Probably 3 or 4 weeks I'll have that up and going and you'll see some single stage phase, which would be good. I'll actually be able to back up the name of the channel a little bit, which would be good. Now, yes, I've done chiller builds. You can go and see these in the vids, so I won't dwell, but just, you know, I've got half a clue. I'm not going to tell you I'm the world's best, because I'm not. I'm in a room with literally half of the top 10 of the world's best overclockers and am humbled every day by my lack of skill compared to these people. So don't think I'm sitting here waving, you know, my appendage around. I'll try and get a good angle here. So I keep moving the camera too much to the items as opposed to bringing items to the camera, I believe. So let's try and do that, eh? I'm not a great cinematographer. Now look, this is why I want to talk to you, okay? When you get an AIO and or your CPU, I would suggest that you get a straight edge. I'm throwing things around here. You get a straight edge first and you go across both surfaces to find out the lay of the land. I'll show you what I mean. So this is a straight edge. You're going to get this. You're going to check within the light. If you've got a gap, go all the way down it. All the way down it, all the way down that side, looking through to see the light. And just get an idea of, have you got a concave or a convex shape to your CPU block and in which direction. So you just want to know, like you do with all your hardware, the physical qualities of this particular item in your hands. Don't go by spec sheets, okay? Now, brings me this, oh, sorry. So, trying to find an IHS. Just get rid of this. Piles of memory. So I was going to show you as well. This is an alternative to an AIO that you will be able to link into a custom water loop. I'll tell you about this so I can put it away. I've got too much stuff out. It's on a GDX 580 matrix. I just tested to see if it works and struggling with it. But this is called a thermosphere. Only for Intel boards, I think, this one. And it's just a water block. You need to also think about, with that particular card you've got with you, need to cool VRM and memory as well. I put fans on this. Didn't help me, but that would be the go. Had a backplate which was not cooling it, so it didn't matter. But think about it when we come up to the water cooling side of it. You know why? It's much sexier too, much better quality. Oh, look at the thickness of that plate. Wonder why that's important. Okay, so that's out of the way. Where's that IHS? There's an IHS in here I wanted to show you, or use. There we go. Oh, it's a different one, there we go. Okay. So 4770K, that's in a Z97 OCF over there. Look, you be careful doing this, and people do it a lot. They say, oh look, when I pulled it off, you can see where the contact was and whatnot. You do realise these things smudge as they're being pulled off, right? So you can't always gauge from that. Like, I'd like to look at this now and say, well, that top part of that made contact. I bet the cores at the bottom were hot. I don't know. They were in contact before. It was a paste in between surfaces. You know, you're going to move it to get it off. As it comes off, did it come off all at the same time with the contact removed from each panel at the same time? No. So now, delidding, to all you people out there that have got 600, 6700K, 7700Ks, they're starting to come out of the woodwork now. People having issues, dropping memory channels, just generally having a bad time. Helped someone out the other day. My first guess turned out to be right. You'd be amazed how often that happens. Excuse me. Someone else had delidded it for him. 90% of the videos out there are wrong. You don't just take off all the glue off both surfaces and put your IHS back on. Dum. No, it doesn't work that way. I've got another video if you want to go see it. It's about using the angle of the dangle on a blade as opposed to a tool. If you use a tool, pop off the IHS and try and put it straight back on the glue mould where it came from. Is generally a good rule, and it holds it in place really well there too. It's not the case that if you take off the glue every time you're in a world of pain. But if you take it off, you take it off. You have to go and find some Sikaflex or something to put it back on with. If you watch my vid, you're cutting into the top of the IHS and taking the IHS off the top of the glue, if you know what I'm saying. And then you can manage the glue from there. Anyway, digressing a little bit there. Here, let's have a look at the really quality Corsair, Ratley, AIO with cables that want to come out of it everywhere. What have they got with cables? How is it with the Corsair dominated GT RAM? They wanted you to put plugs into that held a stupid coloured light beam over the top of it or something or other. Stick it up here. So, my biggest gripe, let's get to it. There's thicknesses of plates, copper plates that are in there. They're not really thick, guys. And is copper soft or a really hard metal? I don't think it's particularly hard, is it? So, say if that cop's no connection to the pump or something and overheats through the CPU, which I'm probably more worried about the CPU. But it's not going to withstand a lot of bashing. I sort of went off topic before, but let's get back to it now. So say you get your straight edge out. You go across that way and you go that way, you do the same with your block. You find you've got a slight convex here. You find this little puppy's got a little bit of a concave there, going that way. So which way are you going to mount it? That way? No, you're not. Knowing this information, unhappy with both of your products' concaveness, or concave and convex, jigsaw them. So don't make them fight each other. If you're going to have to put up with it and you're not going to get your wet and dry out and lap them, then this is what you should do, by the way. Make them flat. Make them. If they don't want to do it, make them. Then jigsaw it together. So at least have the facings that are going to complement each other together, you know? Let's get rid of that piece of crap. I'm not dealing with that AIO anymore. It's going in the bin as of tonight. I don't repurpose them. You don't know what's in them, seriously. This is a 280. I don't like these round ones either. And this is even thinner. Look at the thickness. What are you achieving? Have you ever put your hand on top of one of these while they're running? Keep it warm. Warm pump sitting on top of your CPU? No, I don't think so either. I want to throw this one, but it's just because of my general level of disgust at the moment. I won't do that. So, EK, how thick's EK's block? Oh, damn, it's a bit thicker, isn't it, eh? What do you reckon? Hell yeah. Nickel plated copper. You can pull it apart too. Clean it out. Not that that's particularly clean in there, but it's clean enough in that it'll operate. Change the O-rings, and these have got a more sophisticated design in general too, especially EK, heat killer. Try to put this camera down again, I'll move it too much tomorrow. I should leave this so that you put it in the comments so I get more comments. I don't get enough comments, even abuse. I thought I was right less often, but I'm obviously pretty good. So now it says I'm wrong. Am I provoking you? Yes. Okay, so EK, widely used, pretty popular. Not my fave, but do a good job. Do a good job for the consumer because their instructions are for the consumer. You get a bits power mono block for a motherboard or something, and the instructions are for a system builder. They're not for a consumer, as a rule. So EK can, cater to the end user. This piece is a Raystorm. I'm not a fan. I don't really like it all that much in a normal water cooling setup. You know what this is good for? This is good for the chiller. Why is it good for the chiller? Because it's just the shape of the block. You can use whatever these to retain, but your LN2 brackets and stuff like that. The shape of it's really good for. It's not too big in the base like the EK one. It's really good for putting insulation around for when you're using a chiller for Sub-Zero or something like that. So there's any benefit there, but substantially thicker block. You reckon? It's thicker. Goes up and mounts up in the middle of this one a bit more too. So there's more thickness in the centre. This is an El Cheapo China jobby. I don't know how flat it is. Give me a sec. It doesn't work on camera, guys, so don't even ask me to try this way. It's a bit all over the place. It's not even sort of straightforward convex. Comes up a bit at the ends, actually. If you go outside the lines of these screws, it bends back out again when it hits these screws. So goes to show you. I've seen IHSs on CPUs that have been in a bracket, in a socket retention bracket for so long that they've gathered a little bit of a bend from that. So dispute that if you want. You'll be wrong. Now, if you say, oh, I want to manage a custom loop, that's too hard. It's all way too hard. I'll come back to a really good reason. See this? It's really flat. You get a quality CPU block, it's going to be really flat. AIO ones, thin. Sanding them down, it's not comfortable, it's not right. They're thin enough as they are. You won't have to sand or lap down a heat killer or a noctua, probably not an EK, heat plate, heat exchange plate. This little puppy matters so much. This cooler here is off a server. Servers don't use rubbish. You will rarely go, I'll say rarely go and rip anything cooling wise out of a server design and find that it's not flat. However, a company that manufactures AIOs sends 90% of them out with impurities of design. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pure laziness. It's pure disrespect. It caters to a market, but guys, what do you do if you want an AIO? Everyone knows. You go and you buy a Noctua NH15 or something, you know? Seriously. They're really, really not good, guys. Now, okay, there might be a couple, might be an okay RO. The ROG one's a fortune. You're a hop skipping away from a custom block, a custom loop anyway. Just do it. You'll use the loop over and over again. You have much more fun doing it. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you'll pat yourself on the back at the end and go, that was good fun. And you get to use more fun things. This is one of my smaller radiators. It's called a UT60. It's really good. That Black Ice Nemesis, whatever it's called, would be the two top 360 rads out there, I'd say still, from extremerig.com. It's a roundup done by Darren Carr. Here we go. So, I know the space in your case matters and all that. Don't get all your knickers in a twist, right? But I just want to know which of those rads you'd rather have in your rig. You know what I'm saying? A lot of surface area here. And your mapping of the loop is obviously one of the most puzzling things for some people. If you get yourself radiators that have got ports on the top, bottom, and in this case sides as well, it gives you all the malleability you need, and it's a lot of fun. You'll find a way, don't worry. Fans, guys, I see you all using some really bad fans sometimes. I kind of know why, because they look good for you and suit your build and all that, but get other fans that suit your build that are good ones, you know, quality. These horrible grey things you're looking at here are about as good as it gets. Gentle Typhoons, the old schoolers out there all know what they are. Have been running forever and still going. And, you know, EK Vardo, which styled their fan on the Gentle Typhoon. Look, it's still going. Styled their fan on the Gentle Typhoon, or why wouldn't you? And then you really ramp it up a bit and you whack a couple 480s on a water wall or in a 900D or something like that. A really good laugh. Just a tip with these, if you put them up so that this is at the top and you undo that so that you can get more drain out of the water down the bottom here, and this is the bit where you just got to be smarter than me. Put the port lid back on before you turn the loop on, because what ends up happening is you end up with water on your roof. It's kind of like raining and shit. Yeah, you don't feel like doing anything after you've done that either. And for those who shortcut leak testing, don't. I've run expensive builds where I was going to shortcut it and come back the next day to find the O-ring, which is... compression fittings aren't going to give way on you very often, guys. O-rings. I aimed an elbow of an O-ring with an O-ring at the time, 1080 Hall of Fame, just water blocked, 2 of them in SLI, and I nearly wet myself. White build too, so it was a mess. Clean up. So look, I bagged the AIO thing enough, hopefully enough, that you won't do it to yourself. There's just better ways, guys, honestly, there really, really is. Those things will give you an efficient... get a good one, right? The efficiency on it will be within, I'd say 6-7 months. Let's be nice. 6-7 months, 80-90% of what it was. That things clog up. The pump inside's going to end up going slower. It's not the way to go, guys. They don't last. You can't see what's going on in the internals. You can with this. You can have clear everything if you want. You can. Do you know that the water's flowing through your AIO? Do you know that there's flow? How do you know there's flow? Well, I know there's flow because I've got a flow meter. You know? I think that if you wanted to sell AIOs as a business, you should be a bit smarter about it. You should have points where you can put in K-temp sensors or you know, more sensor points and stuff like that. So if something, a flow rate, a flow sensor. Now I know there's probably a couple of, again, going into costs again, we'll go into a water loop, you know. When you really get excited about it and have a bit of fun and go stupid and turn into me, I guess, you get onto something like a chiller. Set up your chilled loop, and then you got to worry about your others coming off the main res. In my case, I love flexibility, so I'll go one for CPU, one for memory block, a redundant one over here, or it can be plumbed in to be redundant for another pump or redundancy. Excuse me. or I just had it on a water block card down here. Trying to give it some curry. I didn't do particularly well with. And then that matrix card didn't come to the party, so I did a lot of work for nothing there. But look, okay, I put a chilled loop together, and I walked away with a bung result. You can get discouraged. Who wants to do that again? It's it's modular. It's already set up modular. I don't even have to put another water-cooled graphics card back in. That can sit there. If you'll notice, I get a valve in between and quick disconnect, so they're connecting to each other. Just to halt them there for the time being. There's other ways you can do this, by the way. You can have that then plumb into another quick disconnect, which is connected by a Y fitting or something like that, if you wanted to add strength or from a different res or something like that. It's been a bit long, and I don't want to start to dribble at you. I think I've about said what I want to say. These are your quick disconnects. Valves, that's what I was going to say. Manage it right, and the pus becomes minimal. Before you even, like, you can get quick disconnects. Here, I'll give you an example. The quick disconnects can wear over time, and they can stick inside there. Every time I undo one from a rig, I'm in there with towels and everything, and holding the quick disconnect and putting it straight over a bucket. You be smart about it. But these things are just godsends. Interchange in and out whatever parts you like. The thing I always try and do myself, some people don't bother with, and I think is still pretty important, is to keep the flow right. You want male to go into female, so if you've got one coming out, you're going back in. Do you know what I mean? When it comes through, that's just the direction of flow for it. Look, I think that's enough dribbling at the moment. I think I've given you a bit of an idea why I would never go an AIO. Look, this is my current running rig at the moment. There's a 480 rad on that. I've even got water blocks on the VRM chipset. You know, I'll overkill before I'll underkill, and always have. Especially power supplies and stuff. Everything's an AX 1200 or an Odin Gigabyte or something. For good reason though. You want, it's like you talk about your headroom in your graphics card for overclocking. So I want that freedom, that base, and I don't want anything to ever be a question mark. And if I put it together, I know how it was done, and someone appreciates it. Anyway, that's enough from me. On your bikes, thanks for doing everything. Do the tapping and tingles and the subscriptions and all the likes and blah blah blahs. And we'll be back with one for the phase change. I've got RTX 3070 Vulcan X on 10900K, switch to 6800K and X99 to see if that, like some might say online, holds it up. We shall see. I'm Dink if you're Dink.